Watch this.
It's Friday. You know what that means? It's time to end the week right here on the 208. Here's what's in store. It is Friday, so that means we are going into our vault of questions to find you some answers. And today's edition is absentee ballot postage. Who needs to pay for it, the government or the voter?
Tomorrow is a BSU football game. We will flood the downtown area. We will put as many as we possibly can down there.
Speaking of the weekend, maybe you're watching Boise State take on Washington State on the Blue. If so, how are you getting there? Walking, driving, scootering? More people than you think are choosing option 3, and we're going to break down the love of Lime on Football Saturday, and we're telling you this love is a two-way street. We told you about the 50-year anniversary of world-famous daredevil Evel Knievel's fail jump over the Snake River Canyon. But today we're hearing it told from an old friend of Evel Knievel's, found by an old friend of the 208. They both teach us a simple lesson on life. We'll talk to you all about that and more right now on the 208.
Well, we don't normally lead with sports, but we do have some breaking and developing news. Today, just this afternoon, Boise State Athletics announced that it is canceling the scheduled volleyball match against San Jose State. So that means Boise State, they are forfeiting. They are taking a loss in this game. It will not be made up. Why? Well, the team did not explicitly say why they canceled the game, and Boise State is not offering further comment. Seems simple, but San Jose State, actually, we have learned, has a transgender athlete on their roster, and that's kind of what all this centers on. We've also learned that at least one other university, one other school, they canceled one of their volleyball matches against San Jose State earlier, and there has been calls from groups that are against transgender athletes in women's sports from other schools. People are saying that schools need to take actions and prevent this transgender athlete from playing in women's sports. After the Boise State announcement this afternoon, we also saw an announcement from Idaho Governor Brad Little posting a social media statement saying, quote, "I applaud Boise State for working within the spirit of my executive order, the Defending Women's Sports Act. We need to ensure player safety for all of our female athletes and continue the fight for fairness in women's sports," end quote. So this is the first time we're really seeing a local impact on this conversation because it is the first time that we've seen a game impacted. So we're digging into this whole thing. It is developing as we say. I can tell you, though, that Brian Holmes is talking to the mother of a volleyball player who plays in the Mountain West Conference, and she tells us that she started the whole thing writing a letter to the Mountain West about the San Jose State player. So Brian and I and the whole team, we are digging into this. We'll get to more of it on Monday.
The Jerome County Elections Director tells me early voting ballots were not counted on election night for the Secretary of State's website. Now, in a purple county like this one, that narrowed the lead for some Democrats and flipped one chair toward the Republicans.
For whatever reason, the information we sent to them got some small portion of that information got lost in translation between my computer and their program.
In the Valley School District, the Zone 4 trustee election finished 48-47. And while examining the election results, the Jerome County clerk found that two voters, a couple that lives in the same house, they were incorrectly issued an absentee ballot for trustee Zone 5, but they actually live in Zone 4. And those two votes could totally change the election.
And here we are, a third year in a row, and Jerome has another election issue. It is different. This time, it's about printing. This week, Jerome and Payette counties announced that they need to reissue the first batch of absentee ballots for the November 5th election because Proposition 1 had a title missing, and both offices have since corrected the errors and are reissuing the corrected ballots to all the impacted voters. Officials tell us that all absentee ballots are being tracked to make sure only one ballot will be counted for each eligible voter. Again, there was a title missing. That was the mistake. And we know that there are a lot of questions about what is even on the ballot. Every seat in the legislature is up, so the winners of the primary election in your area will be on the final ballot for who gets to represent you at the State House. Every Idahoan will also see some of the same questions, like who do you want to be president of the U.S.? Idaho-wise, though, there are 2 statewide voter questions, Proposition 1 and HJR 5. So Prop 1 is ranked choice voting. HJR 5 is a question about non-citizen voting. And we try to get you all these pieces through our newscasts. But this Sunday morning on Viewpoint, I'm packaging everything together, a one-stop show for all the info you need for ballot questions, voter information, and some viewer comments. A focus of the show, though, opposing arguments on Prop 1. Here's a taste.
I got involved with this because I am a lifelong Idahoan. I think that our system of governance is really good. I saw this coming and I thought this is not great at all for our state. This is something that is damaging to our political dialogue, to our political participation, and it needs to be stopped.
Independent voters will be able to freely participate in any election in the state of Idaho. What we're hearing all across the state is that in a taxpayer-funded election, no citizen should ever be denied a voice.
I think it's about time that we make sure that every voter in Idaho actually has a real voice in elections.
State of Idaho has great resources for you right now at voteidaho.gov. There you can actually see your sample ballot right now. If you wanted to, you could even practice it at your own kitchen table. But know what's on your ballot before you head to the polls, makes it easier. We also have great information and in-depth reporting at k2eb.com on a huge collection of election topics. And I'm excited for Sunday AM Viewpoint. So excited. Let's take a viewer comment right now on elections. It's a good question that has had a different answer than in years past. So a viewer email asks us about postage on absentee ballots. Is it included? Do you need to put your own stamp on the envelope? Again, this has changed in recent years. Secretary of State Phil McGrain, I spoke with him today. He gives us the current landscape, and there is some nuance.
So in terms of the absentee ballots, you do need to put a first-class stamp on your ballot to get it returned. There was a window of time during the pandemic where postage was prepaid, but that was really specific to when voters only had absentee ballots available for them to vote. There was a brief period of time where postage was covered. But for everybody who fills it out, when you get your absentee ballot, vote the ballot, mark all your votes, make sure you put it in the secrecy sleeve and that return envelope. Make sure it's signed and make sure to put it on postage.
If you really dig deep into Idaho code, you'll find this really special provision about mail-in ballots and mail-in ballot precincts, and it says that postage shall be affixed. What is that about?
Yeah, that's a great question. So mail-in ballots, because of our rural nature, we have some giant counties and geographic areas where lots of land, but not very many people. So for any precinct that has less than 140 voters in it, the county's clerk can actually designate that a mail-only precinct. So there are a handful of those in our most rural areas. A good example is like Idaho County up past Grangeville, where you have some small communities where people are really spread out. In those cases, everyone in that precinct will get mailed a ballot, but it's only those very smallest ones. And that'll come up here as we get a little bit closer to Election Day.
So there you go. Also, you can always drop your absentee ballot off without postage at your clerk's office. So there will be a lot of attention on a different Boise State sport this weekend. Boise State football, maybe their biggest game of the year, on the blue against Washington State. Good chance that the winner of the Saturday night special will have a real shot at the college football playoff. With the excitement, though, we're also getting a chance to mix the election with Boise State. Idaho's Secretary of State is heading to the stadium tomorrow to engage with the voters.
We all love celebrating the Broncos. Elections is no different. So if we can bring the election and the Broncos together, we're excited to do so. Last week we were at Idaho State University. We'll go to U of I coming up. But this weekend we've got, fortunately for us, the big game when up against Wazoo. We'll be there with a booth registering people to vote. We'll also be highlighting voter registration at the game. It's really just a great opportunity to remind all the Broncos fans, get registered, get ready, and vote this November.
And I understand you're ready to go to the blue to, make a point here.
Yeah, let's see. We'll see if I can't embarrass myself somewhere along the way in the game. But I'll be down on the blue at some point during the game, and so it should be a really fun weekend.
And I want to be clear, he won't just be standing on the sidelines. I can't say more, but get to your seats and keep an eye out for something pretty fun on Saturday night. And fans like Secretary of State Phil McGrain, they're gearing up for another Boise State home game on Saturday. The Broncos will host the Cougars from Washington State. Last week, we told you about downtown businesses preparing for the large volume of people out and about on home game days, and it got us thinking about how many Lime scooters and bikes end up near Albertson Stadium on a game day. Aspen Shumpert spoke to Lime to find out what it looks like in Boise.
Some take the shuttle or walk to Albertson Stadium on game days. Others choose to scoot.
We will flood the downtown area. We will put as many as we possibly can down there. We're going to stack up in Payette Brewing. That's going to be a huge hub. We're also going to stack up at the Main Street station downtown for people to get to the stadium.
Lime, which has been in Boise since 2018, started with 400 vehicles. They've grown to now have 1,600 vehicles around Boise.
We've got a quarter mile to a half a mile of greenbelt and dirt path to park these things.
He says about 1,000 of their vehicles get parked outside the stadium along the greenbelt. And last weekend, the first home game of the season, Lime hit record ride numbers.
We were over 7,000 rides for the day. That is a record for us. The most we have ever done prior to that was 6,000 trips, and that was in October of last year during homecoming.
And with the Broncos playing the WSU Cougars this Saturday, Lime expects to break the record again.
It's a bigger school coming to town, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be incredible.
But don't worry, the vehicles make their way back around town.
People ride them in and they ride them away.
And if not, the Lime crew will make sure they get back to their pins.
These guys will be down Sunday morning, and that's exactly what they'll be doing, is taking them all back to the placement pins that we have all over the city.
Lime says they spend all year prepping for football season, which includes creating those place pins for scooters and bikes to be at, and really watching the trends of where people are at more so they can make those decisions on where they want to place those vehicles. Now, Joe, I did ask how a game day Saturday compares to a non-game day. So they also provided stats for the weekend before the first home game, and those rides sat at about 5,000. So you really see that 40% jump when people are riding the scooters to the game.
Aspen, are you going to be going to the game? I know you're a Washington State alum.
I am going to the game, and I won't be wearing blue. I will be wearing crimson because I'm cheering on the Cougs.
But will you be taking a Lime scooter?
I haven't decided. I might walk. We'll see.
It's a good option. It's going to be a beautiful day out there, so it'll be perfect. All right, Aspen, we'll see who wins on the blue. We'll take a quick break. 2:08, we'll be right back on a Friday. Speaking of the Boise State-Washington State game, we have all that information on what to wear, how to watch, how to get your pregame going, and we also have some headlines for you. Right now, it's the 411 with Audrielle Tackett.
We now know what started the human-caused three-point fire. Idaho Fish and Game say a couple of hikers tried to dispose of their toilet paper by burning it, sparking the fire. It burned more than 750 acres near Lucky Peak Reservoir last week. Check this out. Sun Valley will host the Audi FIS Ski World Cup Finals 2025 for men's and women's competitions. It will go through March 22nd to the 27th. Speaking of sports, Boise State takes on Washington State on the Blue tomorrow night at 8 p.m. If you're going to the game, then sport your blue. Want the pregame dirt? Tune in tonight at 6 for our Bronco Roundup Game Day show right here on Channel 7 or watch live online. Then, tomorrow right before kickoff at 7 p.m., catch the Bronco Roundup live from the field on ktvb.com, the KTVB YouTube channel, or on KTVB Plus, streaming free on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. You can watch the game right after on Fox Sports 1. Want even more? Text BSU to 208-321-5614 to get our game day guide sent directly to your phone.
There we go.
Last night on the news at 10, Rick Lance participated in his last newscast ever. After nearly 42 years at KTVB, Rick Lance finally retired. We officially said goodbye to Rick in fashion with confetti and a gift from Phil McGrain and Brad Little, officially signing December 21st to be recognized as Rick Lance Day in Idaho. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Audrielle Tackett.
We have a special treat on this Friday. An old friend shares a story about an old friend of Evel Knievel. He went on for a legendary launch 50 years ago in Idaho's scenic backyard. Do you remember it? Maybe there are some other old stories that we just don't know about. Share them with us so we can enlighten everyone. Or you can share almost anything. Text us. Comments, questions, concerns, you name it. Here's our number, 208-321-5614. Please be sure to include your name so we can give you credit and hashtag the 208 so we know it's for us.
Earlier this month, we told you about world-famous daredevil Evel Knievel's failed attempt to jump Idaho's Snake River Canyon 50 years ago. But what we didn't tell you about was Evel Knievel's old friend who landed in our neighboring state. So we're going to have one of our old friends who also landed in a neighboring state tell us a story. Andrew Bartline landed his jump in Spokane, Washington at KHQ, where he found another local legend whose connection to a famous world legend is right here.
There's something to be said about people who seemingly lived life like it was a game. There's something misunderstood.
We do not believe in the words no fear. We don't believe in that.
If Evel Knievel felt fear like the rest of us, then what do we make of this? Or this? It's been 50 years since Evel jumped Idaho's Snake River Canyon. Or rather, landed in the Snake River Canyon.
He started to roll and he's coming back this way now.
Oh, right down the gut.
Tracy Castle would know after decades as Evel's player too.
I was as kind of a little right-hand man on several projects. So
it started with a windsock to market delivery drivers. Evel thought that was a clever idea.
And he signed my prototype. I still have the prototype today.
It wasn't long before Tracy got the real signature that mattered. A contract for the marketing rights to the world-famous Evel Knievel.
On a napkin.
A whopping $10,000.
The restaurant was at Flaherty's.
You're probably thinking,
yeah,
there's no way a defunct downtown Spokane bar napkin penned a legally binding contract with Evel. Well, Tracy could get him to sign anything.
And it drove him nuts.
Really, anything.
Your sons Sam and Tracy did a great job with this book. Too bad they are both so dumb. Love Evel.
But beneath the crude jokes, the knickknacks, the memories, Tracy saw through the hardened outer shell.
He would call me late at night in the 1, 2 o'clock in the morning that he couldn't sleep, and we'd just talk, and he'd tell me he loved me, and I'd tell him I loved him.
Tracy loved his dear friend to the very end. Evel died in 2007 from lung cancer.
A very kind heart, and at times very, very generous.
That's because Evel knew his true value wasn't measured by how he landed, but by his courage to jump. Wisdom like that's gotta be one tough score to beat. 50 years later, there is something to be said about that failed jump, and it's not rocket science.
Remember, if you fall off,
Andrew Bartline.
You're never a failure as long as you try to get up. That's what life is all about. All of you remember that.
Tracy and Evel started working together late in his career. He says Evel once gave him the shirt off his back. Evel is buried in Butte, Montana.
It is going to be a fabulous weekend to go outside and explore a bit. Even some of the mountain areas will be seeing the peak colors in that fall foliage. So if you need some plans for the weekend, it may be worth a day trip checking out some of those colors before we see them past the peak, probably closer to next week. But right now we've got really warm temperatures outside, so hopefully you're enjoying this very warm Friday afternoon. You can see 84 degrees over in Boise, 87 in Ontario, and the mountains were in the 80s as well, and close to that mid-80 range over in the Magic Valley. So overall, if we had to sum up the conditions for the weekend, you'll continue to have ample sunshine with a little bit of some increasing clouds in some spots on Sunday, and we'll see fluctuating temperatures as well. So those temperatures will go up tomorrow as they get closer to records. So feeling hot tomorrow and then cooling down a little bit on Sunday, but still staying warm. Here's where those high temperatures are expected to stack up. You could see again close to the records for Ontario and Boise, just 2 degrees shy in each spot. And it's a similar theme over in Twin Falls, just 1 degree shy as well. So hot with lots of sunshine tomorrow, and we'll continue to see that heat build before cooler air works its way back in on Sunday. And you can see the roller coaster of temperatures does continue. We peak tomorrow and then we cool back down, about 10-degree drop each day, cooling more so into Monday. But then there are more warmer temperatures on the way for us as we continue into this stretch into fall.
A lot of great comments and questions. Let's see how many we can get to here on a Friday. We'll start with this. If someone failed to put postage on their absentee ballots, are those ballots tossed out? Can a person then go directly to the voting location to vote? As long as you get that stamp on there and get it in the mailbox, it should make it there. If for some reason you do forget to put your postage on there, you can go to voteidaho.gov. You can follow your ballot and make sure it got there. If for some reason on your receipt end on voteidaho.gov, it looks like it never got there, reach out to your county clerk. Tell them about the situation. They will give you the correct info there. So great question, though, but you should be able to just put one stamp on the ballot regardless of the weight. Can you tell me when do the voting ballots need to be in by? So they need to be in by 8 p.m. on Election Day. So if you don't trust the mail service and you're mailing it too close to the day, you can bring it physically yourself. But if you do send it in anytime in September or in October, you should be fine to get it in there. But the sooner is the better. No need to wait. Can't voters drop their absentee ballots into the ballot boxes, Meridian City Hall, without a stamp? Yes. So I didn't mention this, but there are some select counties that do have official ballot drop boxes. You can certainly drop them off there without postage. And if you don't have a drop box in your county, you can bring it physically back to the county clerk's office. They will be able to help you out. We'll get to more of your election comments coming up next week.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.